Jack. Beverly Allen is William P. Toley Distinguished Teaching Professor of the Humanities, America, at Stuart Hughes University, and Visiting Professor of Comparative Literature at Stanford University. Her books include works on the Italian poet Zanzotto, Italian feminist poetry, Italian identities, and back in the early 80s, Pasolini, The Poetics of Everything. She has strayed from the academy to work in Bosnia, the author of a book of investigative journalism, Rape Warfare, to consult at the UN International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. A prize-winning screenwriter and translator of poetry, Beverly has translated numerous poems of Pasolini and his unfilmed screenplay, Porno, I would say in the country, Porno Theo Colossal.
Thank you. Is this on? Can we turn it on, please?
I think it's not on. No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, use that.
So now it's on. Okay. Thank you very much, Paula. Welcome. At a time of bloody political feuds in Italy, when a devastating plague was looming and the frigid climate change of the Little Ice Age was rapidly approaching, a controversial poet went into exile, knowing that a sentence of death by fire awaited him should he ever return to his beloved city. Forever thereafter an outsider, he wrote a vision of a spiritual home, an afterlife, the materiality and art of which stunned his readers. Clearly a heretic, he escaped the Inquisition's tentacles by writing in a language that meant little to the high Latin culture of the 14th century. The spoken dialect of Florence, something everyone, even women, could understand. The materiality of Dante's language includes his revolutionary practice of inventing words when existing words won't do. The most famous of Dante's invented words, the one that serves as a touchstone for Pasolini, is trasumanar. Trasumanar significar per verbo non si poria, we read in the first canto of the Paradiso. No word can convey the meaning of transhumanize, is a halting translation of this deeply ironic concept. At once, transindividualization, transgenreization, transgenderization, transspeciesization, and transcendence, trasumanar is a constant slippage across borders, identities, subjectivities. It is the experience of otherness, my experience from the inside of that other, somehow, be that other you, or me myself, or something overwhelmingly, screechingly beyond what words could ever say. In 1971, Pasolini published Trasumanare Organizzar, a book of poems woven with his experiences of others here in the material world, from Brazil's favelas to towns all around Italy, and shot through with the imperative Pasolini derives from those experiences, the imperative to organize. Even before this, however, Pasolini was throwing my generation into great confusion. A daughter of Berkeley in the 60s, I thrilled to run with the demonstrating youth in Rome in '68 until I saw that this filmmaker, poet, novelist chose the police over us. The police, he said, after all, were the children of the proletariat, while we were the privileged, the bourgeois. Nobody else was talking like this. This was heresy. I studied Marx and Gramsci, and then I read Le Ceneri di Gramsci, The Ashes of Gramsci, a poem by Pasolini, and saw that a social and political commitment could grow from desire, passion, and the magnetic pull of sexualized aesthetic beauty. Where did my own commitments come from? All notions of legitimacy got jumbled, even the revolutionary ones. When Giorgio Bassani came to Berkeley in the 1970s, I, like my friend Bart Schwartz, took his course on Pasolini. Now I was reading everything, seeing everything, hazarding baby steps on the outside. I became more thoughtful, more lost. Then, with the inevitability of the Atlantic tides, semiotics and structuralism came to cloak us with all the authoritative reassurances of formal analysis. Pasolini warned us that these comforts were false and misleading. And somehow, the icon-like close-ups in films like Medea and his, at times, apparently awkward edits challenged us to abandon structural patterns of analysis and surrender always to the passionate realities of embodiment, of his insegno, his own art of potentially universal signification. Pasolini was an outsider living on the inside, a Catholic, a communist, a gay man in a dangerous time of homophobia, lingering fascism, Stalinism, and religious reaction. He showed us that the extent to which these identities contradicted each other was the extent to which they were utterly insufficient. His art and pirate writings, the scritti corsari, showed us the earthy power of story and dialect and being other inside all murderous hypocrisy. He was so dangerous. I had the great pleasure of meeting you, Neto, in Ljubljana in 1988, when we participated in a conference about Pasolini at the Sankarajev Dome in the middle of winter. The Slovenian organizers were from our generation, thrilled to produce this event as it honored historic Yugoslav connections with the Friulian Pasolini. It seemed to signal an opening for that non-aligned country. 6 months after that bright winter, I heard from Dori Birkenauer, a participant from England. She had been trying to contact the organizers with no luck. She was worried. One day, a few weeks later, while I was driving here on 101, I heard on the radio that the organizers had been arrested and taken to Belgrade. We have not found them since. It had been a dangerous event. The Yugoslav National Army invasion of Slovenia was already brewing. It came 3 short years later. And then came the invasions of Croatia and Bosnia. I think of that bold and fun conference as a last stand of expressive freedom before the genocide. Shortly after Pasolini's death, his friend Giuseppe Zigaina told me something that suggested Pasolini had been ready to engage at a new level, one that would place him in the realm of, say, Giotto. I'm going to make this terrible, terribile film that no one will want to see, Pasolini had said about Salò. And then I'm going to go live in my tower and draw. Zigaina has written a great deal over the past 20 years about Pasolini's death. I do not know if Pasolini's dantesque capacity to trasumanar extends to the stylistic investment Zigaina claims Pasolini had in his own violent pen. But I do most gratefully accept his remarkable, shockingly Christological generosity, the humble, muscular gift of a most courageous, loving, brilliant, and prescient artist who said, "I have no authority on my shoulders except that which paradoxically comes from not having any, or not having wanted any, from having placed myself in the condition of having nothing to lose, and therefore of being faithful to no pact other than that with a reader whom I consider worthy of every most scandalous search." Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Bart David Schwartz is the author of the only U.S. Pasolini biography, and I think one of the basically two existing biographies.
Eat the translator.
Yeah.
Which is called Pasolini Requiem. Bart trained as a lawyer, joining the California bar, practiced freelance journalism in a wide range of publications, most extensively at Scientific American Magazine, and taught journalism in 2 universities, and he's probably have lived in San Francisco for 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. Before you start talking, I would like to say a few, just one good thing about the biography when it came out in Italy. There were a lot of reviews from newspapers and magazines, and I won't go into the debates that followed. But I wanted to read a quotation from one that I think is very meaningful. This is the novelty of Pasolini Requiem. Perhaps for the first time, a work so important on Pasolini does not come from a setting closely related to him. Finally, the discussion of Pasolini is no longer monopolized by the group of his friends. With work and interest by an American scholar originating from a completely different cultural setting, the figure of Pasolini is finally cut off from a private dimension and become truly public. This is, without a doubt, the best service that Schwartz could make Pasolini.
Yeah.